Hi, Meir Ezra with a piece of truth for you. So you heard about if you think about something long enough or you say something long enough, eventually it will happen, and you've tried that and eventually it doesn't happen. Most of the time, for most of the people, they think, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, I want $1 million. And by the time they stop thinking about, I want $1 million, what they get a big debt. They don't get $1 million. So the question is why and what's the handling? Well, the problem is not for you saying, I want $1 million. That's not the problem. The problem is that in the past, you have said, I want something, and it didn't happen. And you've said, I want something, and it didn't happen. And you say, I don't want something, and it did happen. And this is all amount to many, many failures. So you have a failures and another failure and another failure and another failure. So eventually you said, you know what, not going to ask anymore. I'm just, in any case, it doesn't work. So you dropped it, you left it. And then over the years, you've been convinced again and again that it actually does make sense, that you're so powerful that you can just say something and it will happen. So you decided, you know what, this time I read the book. I now know that I need to do it. And you start to say, I want $1 million. And what happened is that unbeknown to you, all the times that you failed just turn on in your mind. And you don't know what it is, but all those things, it reminds you of all those things. Just below your conscious, all those things start to brew. And you start to feel really, really bad about you. And you get anxiety and you get worries. And all kinds of things happen that are not optimal. And you think, well, I don't feel good, I don't feel good. I have anxiety, I'm weak, I'm useless, I'm this, I'm that. But actually what happened is, if you will continue, every time you will feel bad, every time you'll think, oh, it doesn't happen, you just ignore it and you will continue, you will see that something magically happened. All of a sudden, there will be nothing else in your mind to turn on, and what you will say will happen. There's a good story or historical story about the American Civil War and the War of Independence. And Washington was fighting and fighting, and he was fighting without an army and without a weapon, and they were not trained and whatever. And he kept on losing and losing against England. England was like, think about a small country somewhere in the middle of nowhere, starting to fight the US or something like that. It's like David against Goliath. So it's like impossible, yes? And he kept on losing and he kept on losing and kept on losing, but he didn't think he's losing. He just thought it was another battle and there will be another one and another one and another one. And because he didn't think he's losing, he ran out. He didn't have any more battles to lose, and he won. It is actually, you lose when you don't continue just this extra mile. This extra mile, when you have a failure, is an indication that success is in the other side, because success always comes before failure. Success always comes before failure. And when you run out all the failures, when you go back, when you try to become successful, what you do, you go backward and you remove all the failures. And once you cleaned all the failures, once you don't consider them to be a failure anymore, that's the whole thing of how you run out the failure. You just don't consider them to be a failure anymore. At the other side, you find you and you are success. That's all. A piece of truth for you, Meir Ezra. Bye-bye.